Hi readers. In this story set, we are diving deeper into the Romantic tradition in American literature with one of its offshoots, which is Transcendentalist literature. Transcendentalist literature is, Transcendentalism, rather, is not just about literature. Transcendentalism was a philosophical movement during this period. It started in New England. Ralph Waldo Emerson, who we're reading this week, and Henry David Thoreau were the forefathers of this way of thinking and how it translated into American literature. Now, you're reading Ralph Waldo Emerson and Walt Whitman, and you will watch in this annotation series, you will watch videos for each author to get an idea of each of their individual styles of influence in the literary tradition. So for this contextual video, I'm just going to provide you with some context of what Transcendentalism is and sort of what the qualities of this movement entail. So Transcendentalist philosophy began in the mid-19th century, which remember, mid-1800s, and it was a response to a number of things. So we're coming off of the Age of Reason, as we talked about in the previous story set, where this idea of objective truth and rationality that was, held up in highest regard. And that was sort of, what got us through the Revolution, and Thomas Paine's Common Sense is a famous example. But this debate started to expand to not only include, emotion versus reason, but also to include the church, politics, the government. And some people, wanted to keep the church very rational. This is the Unitarian view. And others wanted a more emotional relationship with the church. As well, Transcendentalists thought that society was impeding the growth of the individual, that these institutions, politics, the government, the church, all of these various social structures were impeding the expansiveness of the individual, if you will. Mark Bickman from the University of Colorado says, and I'm paraphrasing, that it was really a cause and an effect of this major paradigm shift in conceptualizing how the mind knows the world, how we make sense of our cultural forms, how we define spirit and matter, and how to turn ideas into concrete action. Others would say that Transcendentalism was a new form of religion. It was a thinking geared towards spirituality that took a direct turn away from the church. And that was controversial in some circles for sure. But there are some key thoughts and key beliefs in Transcendentalist philosophy to keep in mind. So first of all, Transcendentalists believe that humans are inherently good. Not all literature, as a matter of fact, most literature is kind of a bummer, but Transcendentalism is kind of an exception. Transcendentalisms believe that people are good, that man is good. They also believe that society and these institutions are impeding the growth of the individual, that these things are corrupt, and that man should distance himself from him and not find man should not find his identity or value in those things. They believe that spirituality comes from the self, not from religion. So this was a move away from organized religion, which, again, in these early periods, religion and spirituality and, sort of our relationship with the universe was a huge part of the culture that the literature is dealing with. Transcendentalists also believe that insight and experience were more valuable than knowledge and logic, and they believe that nature is beautiful, sacred, and should not only be respected, but not altered by man. So those are the beliefs of Transcendentalist philosophy. Now, when it comes to Transcendentalist literature, there are basically three key qualities that you'll want to be watching out for. The first of these is idealism. Idealism meaning that rather than valuing logic, reason, education, these sort of more formal cognitive skills, that we should value imagination, creativity, intuition, that we should sort of celebrate these more idealistic, emotional aspects of human experience. they considered this more ideal and a more enjoyable way of living life. And, they might have a point in some respects. The other two important qualities of Transcendentalist literature actually tie directly into some of Ralph Waldo Emerson's most famous essays. So one of his most famous essays is called Self-Reliance. And that brings us to the second quality of Transcendentalism, which is individualism or self-reliance. Transcendentalists believe wholeheartedly in the importance of the individual. They think the individual is pure, the individual is sacred, and that the individual should separate themselves from these institutions that may corrupt them. They also sort of separate themselves from the idea of a divine destiny, or the idea that, there's a creator in control of things. They believe that man is in control of his destiny, that man can think for himself, and that individuals can come together and form communities outside of the church without that sort of organized religion to guide them. And finally, the essay that you are reading from Emerson this week is called Nature. And that brings us to the third quality of Transcendentalism, which is the divinity of nature. So these guys love nature, but not just, appreciate the forest. Transcendentalists believe that nature is sacred and divine. They didn't believe in religion, in organized religion, but they were very spiritual, and their spirituality manifested in their relationship to the natural world around them. They believed it was crucial for humans to have a close relationship with nature, to reflect and sort of spend time in nature, to have a relationship with nature, much in the same way that a preacher would emphasize a relationship with God and with faith. They also saw nature as perfect and thought that humans shouldn't touch it or mess with it in any way. And these are the overarching qualities, and I think that you will see these for sure in very notable ways in both of the readings that you are looking at this week. You're reading selected excerpts from Nature, Emerson's series of essays, and you're also reading excerpts from Walt Whitman's opus magnum, Song of Myself, which is a poetry series. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Transcendentalists are to sort of be a bit flippant about it, I suppose. Transcendentalists are kind of the hippies of literature. They're very into nature and self-reliance and love, and so these are some of the feel-good stories that I hope you enjoy.